Greetings, YouTube surfers. Welcome back to Double Clutch Auto Reviews, and thank you so much again for tuning in for another review video. My name is Mark, and today I'm here with my buddy Paul's 2023 Hyundai Venue SEL. Paul's old car broke down, so obviously he needed a new one, and he needed help with the buying process. So I went with him and shopped for this new car. Overall, I think the new Hyundai Venue is a great bang for your buck value, and Paul is very pleased with it so far. And naturally, being a friend that has a YouTube channel predominantly focused on car reviews, Paul asked me to review his new car. I saw the review of the Venue as a great opportunity to cater to my viewers that are looking for a more economical brand new vehicle, yet still want a great quality car. Is this 2023 Hyundai Venue one of the best affordable subcompact SUVs you can buy for the money? Let's dive in and check it out. There are 3 trim levels you can get of the new Hyundai Venue. The base level, the SE, starts just under $20,000, and the top trim, the Limited, starts just under $23,000. This Venue is an SEL trim, which is the mid-level starting at just over $21,000 USD. Under the hood of every brand new Hyundai Venue sits a 1.6-liter naturally aspirated, transversely mounted inline 4-cylinder engine, making 121 horsepower and 113 pound-feet of torque. And that's mated to an intelligent variable transmission, or CVT variant transmission, and front-wheel drive. Fuel economy is rated for 29 in the city, 33 on the highway, and 31 miles per gallon average overall. With an 11.9-gallon fuel tank, you can expect to get anywhere between 345 to 393 miles on a full tank. As far as the layout of the engine goes, it looks pretty standard. Everything seems to be pretty easily accessible for maintenance and repairs and whatnot. One special thing that I'd like to point out about this engine is the breakaway motor mount, clearly visible on the left side of the engine right there. In a front-end collision, that is supposed to shear away and allow the engine to drop so it doesn't go into the passenger compartment. That is excellent engineering, really like that. Along with all the safety features that the Venue has, including all the driver assistance features and the breakaway motor mount, of course, there's another crucial aspect that tipped the scales to Paul wanting to buy this car over the competition, and that was the fantastic warranty. Hyundai offers a 5-year, 60,000-mile basic limited warranty and a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. That's excellent. Better than some of the competition for sure. And now we'll move on to the exterior styling. I know it is quirky looking. Very quirky looking, especially in this color known as green apple. And I know this is definitely contrary to popular belief, but I actually think this Venue looks cool and interesting. Not because it's good looking necessarily, but because it's different. It stands out, and to me, that's cool. It's quirky and funky and interesting, and it catches your eye, whether it's in a good way or a bad way, but I actually like it. And the color definitely makes it stand out. It's certainly not for everybody, but you can definitely agree with me that it's going to be easy to find in a parking lot. When you upgrade to the SEL or above, you also get these very cool looking 17-inch alloy wheels. I like these wheels a lot, actually. They definitely add to the funkiness of this car. Definitely cooler than the 15-inch alloy wheels that come on the SE. Another cool little touch is this interesting design on the plastic cladding up front. Kind of has like a diamond plate look almost, and there's actually a functional air curtain right here. I know there will be many controversial comments about the styling of this car in the comments. Let her rip. But Paul was gonna get some kind of boring looking car, but what's the fun in that? Instead, he went with the Venue and he affectionately named it Leonardo. Why the name Leonardo, do you ask? Paul thought of this being the avid comic book enthusiast that he is, and he said that I think pretty much anyone would agree that this car candidly resembles a Ninja Turtle. And just a side note about the exterior styling, have you seen the 2023 Venues that are released in India? Why do you guys in India get a really cool looking Venue that has updated taillights and looks way fancier than the one that we get in the States? What's up with that? And now moving on to the rear end of the Venue. First off, I'd like to point out that the Venue logo is finished in white. I think it actually looks pretty cool. It's definitely different though, and it looks a little bit weird with the chrome and white, but nonetheless, it is interesting looking. Definitely adds to the car's quirkiness overall. That interesting diamond plate almost looking design in the plastic cladding is continued on the rear as well. Opening up the tailgate, just push this button right here and releases for you. As you can see, we have a decent amount of storage room back here. We have 18.7 cubic feet of cargo space with all the seats in place and 31.9 max cargo capacity with the seats folded down. That's actually really good considering how small this car is. I'll also put up some more dimensions and specifications on the screen right here. Pause the video if you'd like to take a look at those. The Venue comes with this privacy cover here, so when you close the tailgate, that'll cover all of your cargo so no one can look in and see what you have in the back. If you don't want to use it though, to maximize your vertical cargo space, you can easily take these tethers off, pop it down, and it can be slid down and tucked right up against the back of the seat. That is actually super cool and convenient, so it's not just flopping around. You can store it very conveniently right there. Or if you want to just remove the whole thing, just pull it out, wiggle it free, and you can remove the whole cargo cover. Another very nifty feature of the Venue's tailgate, as you can see, this is more of a rubberized, more durable side of the floor mat. You could just take this floor mat, pick it up, and flip it over, and now it's a carpeted rear floor mat. Now you're probably saying, who really cares about that? But let me show you one of the coolest little features that this car comes with. These are called cargo blocks. They are little L brackets, and they can be Velcroed to any part of this carpeted floor mat, essentially. Now I'm going to take my toolbox, for instance, when I'm sending it in corners. I don't want this sliding around in the trunk, right? Of course not. So I'm going to put this here, and then I'm going to use these cargo blocks to mount this in one place so it doesn't slide around. I mean, that is brilliant. I absolutely love this feature. Of course, it's not perfect, but if you have a box that you don't want sliding around or whatever item, this is so handy, so convenient. I love it. So now let's take out this trunk mat and I'll show you yet another interesting feature of this Venue's trunk. As you can see now, I'm at the base of the floor. If you want even more space depth-wise in the trunk of the Venue, you can take this floor, pull it out, that's where the spare tire sits, but you can take this and put it down, slide it through. So it takes a little bit of wiggling to get it right, but once you have it set, now you can see I have about 4 to 5 more inches of depth in this trunk, so I can store a taller item back here. I mean, come on, it just gets more and more versatile. It's great. And finally, closing up the trunk after I reinstalled everything properly, it just takes about 30 seconds, honestly. It's very easy. They also incorporated a little grab handle right here. I love that, Hyundai. Thank you. So I don't have to put my hands on the paint. Just stick your hand up here, gently swing it down, closes very easily for you. So now we'll climb on into the interior of the 2023 Hyundai Venue. First thing you'll notice is that this car is very easy to get in and out of. Obviously, the ride height and ground clearance helps with that. It also helps with snowy or off-roading driving. But this allows for the seat to be pretty flush with the level of most people's butts. So when you climb on in, you just kind of glide in and glide out. Someone looking for an easy car to get in and out of will be very satisfied with the Venue. The door cards are plastic, as you can see. Unfortunately, the armrest is also hard plastic, but I did drive this car for quite a while, and it's really not that uncomfortable, but just something to note that there's a lot of plastic on these door cards. Of course, that goes with the saying, you get what you pay for sometimes, right? So considering this car is so cheap and it's otherwise an excellent car, I'm not complaining about too much plastic over here. So now we will take our key and fire this bad Larry up. And I know I just complained a little bit about these hard plastic armrests on the door cards, but at least the steering wheel is leather wrapped, which makes a huge difference compared to the plastic steering wheel on the base trim SE. It's certainly worth the upgrade to the SEL in my opinion. The wheel feels a lot nicer and grippier in your hands. The seats in here are also quite comfortable. I like them a lot actually. They're very comfortable and they're well bolstered still, especially for a car like this. I'm very impressed with these seats. If you want the front seat dimension specifications, I'm going to put them up on the screen right here. Pause the video if you'd like to take a look at those. Overall, we really do have great leg, shoulder, and headroom in the front and in the back of this car. I'm very impressed, Hyundai. And now every trim of the Venue, including the SE, come with a lot of great safety features that many people want standard. This includes forward collision avoidance assistance, lane keep assist, driver attention warning, high beam assist, and the rear occupancy alert, you know, in case you forget about your children in the back seat. And if you go with the SEL, this trim, or the Limited, you additionally get blind spot warning and rear cross traffic alert. I also like to point out, I definitely like the look of the gauge cluster. I really like the tachometer. I'll explain that while I'm driving, but that looks very cool. I really like that design. I'd like to talk about the steering wheel. It has a nice grip to it, especially with this leather wrapped, as I said earlier. Definitely feels nice, especially for how much this car costs. I also like these buttons. They feel solid. They work really well. Definitely doesn't feel cheap. Very good job, Hyundai. They have the nice brushed aluminum trim around the door handles and the climate control vents. Overall, I think Hyundai did a great job of making a car that's very affordable, one of the most affordable subcompact SUVs that you can get today, but it doesn't feel like it, which is great. Every Venue does come with an 8-inch touchscreen. The SE and SEL come with this older version of the infotainment system by Hyundai, and then the Limited comes with the more updated version. Regarding this specific infotainment system, I actually like it a lot. It's overall pretty intuitive and user-friendly. It also has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is awesome. It's a little bit slow to respond, maybe half a second once you click on something, but overall, it's really not bad. I actually like it a lot. I'll go into Apple CarPlay now so you can see what that looks like. Just go to phone. My phone is already hooked up, and it looks really good. I have Waze on. I can go to my calls. I can go to my music. I mean, it's not bad. It's a great setup, actually. We have our shortcut buttons below the center screen. So, for instance, if you want to go to your favorites, you push the star. If you want to go back to the regular radio, you can just push that, and that brings you up to the FM part. If you want to go home, the top left corner brings you back to the home screen. I'll go into all menus right here. Something cool to note, you can make a voice memo. So if you want to write something down, but you don't have time to pull over, you can just click this and make a voice memo if you need to remember something. I also very much like the fact that Hyundai kept an actual volume knob and an actual tune knob. Same thing with the climate controls. They are simple, easy to operate, they look good, they're not intrusive at all. Very much like the fact that they just kept it simple. Don't need to overcomplicate it. Moving down to our USB ports and our little storage compartment right here, we have a USB-A, a 12-volt outlet, and a USB-C port. As you can see, no pun intended, the USB-C port is for charging only. So just something to note, if you want to charge a device, you can put it on the USB-C, but if you want to plug it directly into the car, not using the wireless function that it does have, you can use this USB-A port right here. Down here is where the wireless phone charger would go if you got the limited trim, but in the SEL and the SE, they implemented a little storage compartment right there to make use of the space, of course. Next, move down to our gear selector. Standard PR&D setup. You can also shift it yourself if you would like to. You can push it forward for upshifting and bring it back down for downshifting. It seems to work okay when using it yourself in sport mode at least, but I'm not gonna lie, you're probably just better off just throwing it in drive and letting the transmission figure it out for itself. Moving right along, we have our drive mode selector right here. You can turn this dial, you can either click it to the left or the right, and I'll show you how it looks in the gauge cluster screen, cycling from normal, sport, and snow mode. Next to the drive mode selector, we also have a manual handbrake. For the price point, not am I only expecting to have a manual handbrake, but I also prefer that. Definitely like the fact that Hyundai didn't put in an electronic parking brake. As far as I'm concerned, that's just something else to break over time. This is never going to break, so why overcomplicate it? Keep it simple, keep it cheap. Definitely a big fan of that. We also have two cup holders in the center console. They are not adjustable and they are the same size, but nonetheless, they'll probably fit most drinks just fine. We also have an additional cup holder in each door cubby right there. Now moving on to the center console, you'll notice that the armrest on it is actually a little bit softer than the door card armrest. This is pretty hard plastic, it doesn't give that much, but you'll notice that this just has a little bit of give to it, making it just a little bit more comfortable. So I appreciate that Hyundai did that with this armrest instead of just making it super hard plastic. Next, we'll open it up. You can see you have a decent amount of storage in there, nothing too crazy, and there's also no additional charge or USB ports in there. All your charging has to be up front, unfortunately. There's no additional in the center console, but nonetheless, this should suffice for most people in the Venue. Next, I'd like to talk about this very shallow but also wide storage compartment above the glove box. I really like this. This is actually very nifty. It also has little grooves right here to prevent the items from rolling around while you're taking corners. This is a great spot to obviously store your hand sanitizer like Paul has right here, or you could put some tissues here or napkins and whatnot. It's actually quite a convenient location. I could see Uber drivers or other taxi drivers and whatnot making good use of that storage compartment. Next, we'll take a look at our glove box. Pretty standard size, nothing else too interesting about that. Fits all of Paul's owner's manuals and whatnot, of course. Next, we'll move on to our visors. These pass the visor test as stated by the straight pipes. They go all the way to the B post so you get the most sun coverage possible, which is great. Something interesting I'd like to show you about these visors though is the light, how they have it set up here. Hyundai designed this with a lot of ingenuity. As you can see, this is how the light mechanism works. You just turn it on and off as such. But if you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you forget to actually shut the light off, don't worry about it. You can just close the visor and the light shuts off automatically because of how the switch works. When the visor closes, it just hits this and shuts it off. How cool is that? Very neat feature right there. And finally, moving up top, this is the SEL trim, so we also have a sunroof included. And for a car this affordable, this is actually such a nice feature to have on a beautiful sunny day. Not today, of course. It's January in New England and it's raining out, but nonetheless, we can imagine, right? And now moving on to the rear seats of the 2023 Hyundai Venue. I have the driver's seat in the position that I would be sitting in a comfortable driving position, and I'm just under 6 feet, 200 pounds, and I'm sitting back here. I have plenty of room. Leg room, headroom, because this, of course, has that boxy style. It doesn't have that sexy sloped roofline that a lot of SUVs are going for these days. This actually has a lot of room in here. I'm very comfortable back here. We could easily fit 5 adult passengers, but with 4 adult passengers, we'd have no problem going on a long road trip in this car. I will add in the rear seat dimensions per the specifications right here if you want to pause the video and take a look at those. As far as the amenities go for rear seat passengers, we really don't have that much. I mean, there is this cargo net, but that doesn't really matter. There's no armrest, which is unfortunate. There's also no USB ports here, also unfortunate. But we do have a cup holder in each door cubby, and there's also this very interesting little piece right here. I call it the squish-in cup holder. Literally, you take this device. It actually feels really cheap. I wish they could have made this a little bit at higher quality, I will say. But nonetheless, you take this little square trapezoid looking thing, squish it down on in there, and then you have 2 additional cup holders that are kind of on the small side, but nonetheless, they work. It's not the worst idea. I actually think it's pretty nifty, but I just wish they could have executed the application of it better. It's honestly mostly due to the lack of quality. This literally feels like Hyundai spent less than $3 each per unit of these squish-in cup holders. Alrighty, now getting out on the road in the 2023 Hyundai Venue SEL. Right off the bat, you immediately feel like this car drives and rides a lot better than you would expect. Really well, actually, for how much it costs. All right, coming into some twisty roads here. Let's see how well it performs in the corners. Yeah. Because it is so light though, it actually holds its own in the corners relatively well. The driving position is also quite good. I feel pretty confident with my hands at 9 and 3, and I'm very comfortable in these seats. They definitely contribute a lot to the comfort of this car overall. And the visibility is fantastic. I can pretty much see all around me. I have no issues. There's pretty much no blind spots. I'd say maybe behind the C-pillar, you know, just like every other car pretty much, but otherwise they're non-existent. This car is an excellent candidate for city driving, parking in small spaces, especially with the backup camera. Pretty much makes it a breeze. Now, in regards to the acceleration, you probably think it's pretty much abysmal considering it's only 121 horsepower, right? And you would be correct. The on-paper stats are 0 to 60 in about 10 seconds. I'm gonna put it in sport mode right now. I'm gonna do a full throttle acceleration from the stop. Ready, go. The engine is very loud. So that obviously was not fast at all. But with this car being so light, only 2,612 pounds, it actually doesn't feel that underpowered. Something to consider though is that the limited trim weighs 126 pounds more than the SE or SEL. So the limited probably feels even a little bit slower. An extra 126 pounds is like having an additional small, fully grown adult passenger with you, which makes a big difference with this much power or lack thereof. But with this amount of power in this small and light of a vehicle, you're not going to be having trouble merging on the highway, and it will suffice for the easygoing driver like Paul just doing A to B errands. The engine is quite loud, as you can hear, but that's only under full throttle. But once you let off the throttle and just cruise, it actually quiets right down. You know, for what I'm expecting, it's actually fun to drive. This IVT or CVT variant transmission, whatever you want to call it, actually seems to respond really well to my inputs. It's relatively smooth shifting. I don't really have any complaints about it at all. When I hit the throttle, it seems to drop the gear relatively quickly, shifts smoothly, pulls through the power band. I also very much like the gauge cluster and tachometer design specifically. It's very interesting for a car like this. You can see in the center on the right side, it has a number reading to the 10th decimal, which is interesting. You don't normally see that very often. Specifically watch the outermost semicircle rings in the gauge cluster. As I accelerate, you'll see that the RPMs rise, and then these lines grow closer and closer to the center. And the turning radius is also exceptional, absolutely fantastic, 33.2 feet. Of course, you would expect that out of a car this small with this 99.2-inch wheelbase. Nonetheless, though, I'll demonstrate it now. I'm gonna do a 3-point turn on this small side street, but the Hyundai Venue makes no issue of it at all. Especially with this backup camera, you can see everything relatively clearly. You don't really need more resolution than that. And I'll back up, go right here. piece of cake. Considering that this is one of the most affordable and economically practical brand new cars that you can get these days, it does not feel cheap or chintzy. Hyundai did a great job engineering this car to feel as good as it possibly could be for how much it costs. And now I'm cruising on the highway with traffic, and there's a little bit of wind and road noise, but it's nothing that some tunes couldn't drown out very easily. Speaking of tunes, I'm gonna play a song for you guys through the stereo system in the 2023 Venue. Let me know in the comments below how you think the stereo system sounds in this car. And now let's talk about some of the competition that the Hyundai Venue is going up against. First, I'd like to talk about the Kia Seltos. That is actually a great car. I reviewed one of those back in 2020. It was a 2021 model year. If you want to check out that review, I will link it in the description below. I was a big fan of that car, and that is definitely some solid competition going up against the Venue. It's definitely a little bit more expensive, but it has a lot more cargo room, and it still rides and drives very well. If you're looking at a subcompact SUV like the Venue, you should certainly consider looking at the Seltos as well. Another one to consider is the Nissan Kicks. I have not driven or reviewed a Kicks yet, but they seem to be relatively nice and well built. I don't know about those CVT transmissions though. Nonetheless, you should check one of those out because those are around the same price as the Venue. Another car to consider is the Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. Now, I did drive one of those. A review for that car will be out later this year, but it was not that great of a driving experience, I'm not gonna lie to you. Yes, it was a 2018 model year, but I do know that the 2022 model Outlander Sport hasn't had that many upgrades over the 2018 model year, respectively. It felt very cheaply made, way cheaper than this Venue feels, and it's actually more expensive at the base trim MSRP. So I wouldn't recommend looking at one of those. And now Paul and I also drove the higher trim Venue, the Limited, which is upgraded with a few good bits that people should consider if they want or not when looking at a Venue. For an extra $1,600-ish MSRP, the Limited trim comes with LED headlights and taillights, which make a very big difference actually when driving at night. They look a lot nicer and they project light much better than these halogens on the SE or SEL. It also has remote start, heated front seats, a wireless phone charger. The Limited also comes with the Hyundai Blue Link app that you can remote start your car and turn on your heated seats from your phone, which is super cool, but you have to end up paying for the app monthly after the subscription's over, which is terrible. I hate that Hyundai does that. If you're gonna offer a service, just offer the service for the life of the car. I cannot forget to mention though some crucial mistakes that Hyundai made when implementing the differences between the SEL and the Limited trim. For $1,600 more, you would think that you would get everything the SEL has and more, right? Not quite. The SEL has a sunroof and the Limited does not. Why? I have no idea. Maybe it's because there's the two-tone roof option with the Limited, but I think that is hogwash. I am not a fan of that at all. If I'm paying for the highest trim, I want all of the luxuries, including a sunroof. Another thing that's crazy is that this SEL has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That's fantastic. I love that feature. In the Limited, it's the newly updated version that Hyundai has with their infotainment system. It does not have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You have to plug in your phone. I mean, sure, is that a little bit nitpicky? Yeah, but why are we downgrading when we're going up in trim? I want more luxury, more features, more convenience. Why am I downgrading in my ability with the infotainment system going from the SEL to the Limited? Paul and I were both dumbfounded by that decision by Hyundai. I have no idea why. I think Hyundai should have implemented all of the features that you get with the SEL and more in the Limited. Because of that, I am highly convinced that the SEL, this trim, is by far the best bang for your buck version of the Venue. So clearly you have some things to consider when choosing your preferred trim of the Venue. This is the most affordable vehicle on Hyundai's lineup though, so I have a feeling that most people are probably going to go for the more basic end, the SE and the SEL. Let me know in the comments below which trim of Venue you might be interested in if you're looking at a car like this, and let me know what you thought of the review overall. If you did enjoy it, please give me a like and consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. It's at no cost to you, and it really helps me out to grow my channel. Take care, guys. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.